And now I'd like to bring up our Alberta's Minister for Seniors and Housing, Laurie Sigurdsson. She was appointed to this portfolio in February 2016. She brings with her more than 25 years of experience as a social worker in many fields of practice. Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Laurie Sigurdsson.
How are you? Welcome.
Very well. Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. It's certainly my pleasure to join you tonight on Treaty 7 land and bring greetings on behalf of Premier Notley and my government colleagues. Before I begin, I'd just like to speak momentarily about what happened in Edmonton on Saturday. Our thoughts and prayers are with those who were injured in Edmonton's attack on Saturday night, and I extend thank you to the first responders. As well, we are heartbroken for our friends to the south regarding the horrific attack in Las Vegas, and my thoughts and prayers are with the injured and the families of those killed. Tonight, we are honoring the best in us. Hatred has no place in Alberta. It's not who we are. We are in this together, and together we are stronger than any form of hate. Jim Gray is here tonight, and I just want to say thank you to him because I know it was his inspiration that sparked this evening's event honoring seniors. And I'm just thrilled to be among some of the most inspiring Albertans around. After all, Alberta seniors are a vibrant and vital group. Did you know that seniors in Alberta contribute more volunteer hours than in any other jurisdiction in Canada here in Alberta? Yeah, go for it. And it's also so wonderful to see seniors being honored at this gala for their innovation, their ventures, and their ideas. And I love the name, the Top 7 Over 70, because excellence and drive is not limited by age. Our government recognizes that seniors do so much for communities and people all across this province. Your wisdom, your unique perspectives, your continuing contributions all benefit Albertans. That's why I was thrilled earlier today to host the Minister's Senior Service Awards at McDougall Centre. This was the very first year in 20 years that we've hosted the event here in Calgary. 6 individuals and 2 organizations received awards for their volunteerism, making life better for seniors. Like those volunteers, the 7 incredible individuals being honored here tonight are proof positive that age is no barrier to success and ongoing contributions. Our government shares a common goal with the award recipients. We're both making life better for Albertans. I toured the province this summer and listened to many seniors. What I heard most often is seniors want to age in their communities, close to their family and friends. And that's why our government has invested $1.2 billion into building more seniors' lodges, seniors' facilities, and affordable housing across this province. Thank you. Another thing I heard from seniors was the importance of being included and respected in our society. To this end, some asked me to consider declaring the International Day of Older Persons. So I'm proud to tell you that for the first time in our province's history, the Government of Alberta officially declared yesterday, October 1st, 2017, as International Day of Older Persons. Woohoo! We've lost the crowd. Like tonight's event, this day celebrates seniors and brings attention and awareness to seniors throughout the world. It brings us together, challenges stereotypes and misconceptions, and it has helped usher in new policies and benefits seniors around the world. Yesterday, we declared a day that recognizes Alberta seniors, and today I'm so pleased to be with you to recognize 7 extraordinary Calgary seniors. So I'd just like to end by once again thanking Jim Gray, Brian Fileski, the incredible team of volunteers and community partners, as well as the generous sponsors for making this event possible. Here's to the continued success and growth of the top 7 over 70. Congratulations to the award recipients. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Sigurdsson. All right, we've talked about him enough. Maybe we need to bring him up on stage. I'm going to bring up Jim Gray, the founder of the top 7 over 70, to say a few words. Now, if it wasn't for Jim, we wouldn't be here tonight. We'd be at home watching television, maybe watching Dancing with the Stars, but tonight we get to hang out with the stars because one man and some of his very close friends didn't just swim across Canada. They dragged us into this incredible event through just nothing more than a great idea. There's no stopping Jim Gray. He's a leader in business, the energy industry, philanthropy. There's no community builder quite like him. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the stage Mr. Jim Gray.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. And thank all of you for being here and being with us this evening. You know, we live in this wonderful community called Calgary, in this province called Alberta. And over the years, I've been very, very fortunate to meet countless numbers of Calgarians who make this city a better place to live in each and every day. And I've long been particularly inspired by the work and achievements of people who have passed that traditional retirement age. And frankly, there are many people who are 70, who are 80, and who are older that are making quiet but astonishing contributions. Instead of slowing down, they're speeding up. I've also noticed over the years that several award programs exist that recognize the contribution of younger people. The top 20 under 20, the top 40 under 40. In fact, years ago, I remember reading about one that celebrated the top 15 under 15 swimmers in Eastern Europe. But there hasn't been a similar programs that recognize the contribution of seniors until now. But that is about to change. And importantly, we are not referring to legacy accomplishments of seniors, awards that you get after 70 for all the things that you did before you were 70. We're talking about new ventures and new contributions in many, many different fields. We, Calgary's top 7 over 70 committee, seem to be the first group in Canada and possibly further afield that recognizes the accomplishments that were started by people after the age of 70. And this is our distinguishing feature. It's important to note that seniors represent untapped and expanding power and potential that can help us turn our economy around. A recent Canada West Foundation report that our organization commissioned found that seniors and startups are a powerful combination when working together. They can help create jobs. They can revitalize the economy. They can lead to better health and better well-being for Canada's maturing population. The Economist, in a July the 8th special report entitled "The New Old," expanded on this subject. They reported that multi-generational teams outperform their unigenerational competitors. Deutsche Bank, for example, is deploying multi-generational teams with great success. The top 70 over 70, together with Calgary Economic Development, is raising funds from our program here this evening for future intergenerational workshops and roundtable programs that will foster this development. We will be shining a spotlight on seniorpreneurs. We are also raising money for the Calgary Seniors Resource Society, an innovative organization that works to keep local seniors healthy and independent through a variety of programs. Now, we want to thank each and every one of you for attending this inaugural celebration. We also want to thank our community partners, our patrons, and the sponsors of the Top 70 Over 70. We couldn't do it without your vision and commitment to the community. And thanks for your support of this new program as we celebrate 7 exceptional individuals, the Top 7 Over 70, who inspire us, each and every one of us in the room, each and every day. Our top 7 were selected from 78 highly qualified nominees. So let me conclude with just a couple of observations. First, this entire program and gala was conceived and organized in roughly 100 days. Most of it, of course, during July and August. This astonishing achievement was the product of superior commitment and leadership by our exceptional 3 co-chairs, Bonnie DuPont, Brian Fileski, and Steve Allen. Their efforts, together with our entire 7 Over 70 team, worked exceedingly hard to pull this off. You know, success is always the product of skilled and committed teams. Our 7 Over 70 was simply the best, and we thank each and every one of them for a job well done. But let me ask a question maybe on your behalf. Okay, what about tomorrow? Is this an inaugural event of an annual program, or is this a one-off? That decision will be taken in the weeks ahead in the light of our results with this gala and the ongoing intergenerational roundtables and workshops that will be conducted with Calgary Economic Development. But I think that there's even a bigger question. Our inaugural Calgary 7 Over 7 has been a great success. Logically, the success of this program should dictate the need for a national 70 Over 70 program, recognizing exceptional seniors in every region of our great country. So it's Calgary today, but it'll be Canada tomorrow. Now seniors are living longer lives with better health and higher levels of energy. Many have both financial and intellectual resources to deploy. They represent a rapidly increasing value that will benefit all citizens. Again, our sincere thanks to each and every one of you for supporting our seniors. As one of their number, I can assure you that it is greatly appreciated. I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Very good. Before we let Jim sit down, I want to bring up one of the co-chairs he spoke about. Bonnie DuPont wants to come up here for a few words for Jim. Would you please welcome Bonnie to the stage?
How are you? So glad you're here.
Please. Stay here, Jim. Don't run away. Ladies and gentlemen, as was mentioned earlier, there is one person here tonight who deserves a great deal of acknowledgement for bringing us all together, and that person, of course, is Jim Gray. Jim Gray is one of a kind. No idea is too big to tackle, and no obstacle that might be put in his way is insurmountable. He carried the idea of a top 7 over 70 within him for a number of years. He planted the seeds for this concept. He spent countless hours talking to dozens and dozens of people about it. His belief was unwavering, and he knew that this initiative could sprout into something magnificent, such as this gala. He gathered a group of people around him and around the idea so that we could nurture the idea, so that we could grow it into something special. And when Jim talked about the top 7 over 70, you just heard him. It's infectious. He's got the spirit. There's no way you can say no to Jim Gray, and that's why all of us are here tonight. Jim saw the potential to recognize citizens who are sometimes unrecognized or under-recognized. He saw the potential to kickstart something to make it great in Calgary, and as you heard him say, we want to move this program out. It'll make our community stronger, and it will make other communities stronger as well. Truly, Jim is a visionary. So Jim, on behalf of the other co-chairs of the top 7 over 70, Brian Fileski, I don't know where you are, Brian. Brian, you're here, there you are. And Steve Allen, Steve, we want to thank you sincerely for your leadership, for your friendship, and for your vision. We have so enjoyed working with you, and we're so pleased with the success of this evening. Thank you, Jim.
This is supposed to be outside.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. We thought we'd make it interesting for Jim to give him 2 glass objects and then a dark ramp and to just see what would happen. So thank you very much, Bonnie DuPont, for all the work you do and all the work that Jim has done, and the rest of us thank you all, and we're so thrilled. Okay. I'm very excited about this next one because it's a bit of a surprise and it's kind of fun. I'm going to introduce you to our first award recipient tonight, but this winner is going to be a bit of a surprise. When the top 7 over 70 committee was choosing its winners, they were awestruck by the nomination of a 101-year-old University of Calgary professor who is still making brilliant contributions to the community and living an incredibly active life. They realized he wasn't just a top 7 over 70 nominee, he was a top 1 over 100. Now, his story was so exceptional, so extraordinary, that the committee decided to give him a special award, a top 7 over 70 citation of unique merit. Please enjoy this video of Dr. Richard Guy. That is Dr. Richard Guy. Welcome to the stage. A pleasure to have you here. Tell me, I'm curious, as the 101-year-old man, considering there's just a bunch of young 70-year-olds here, is teaching a big part of your understanding of longevity?
Well, I think I was just born with a sound mind and a healthy body, and I just felt it was my duty to go on passing on what I could to everybody else in the world.
Well, you've done it incredibly well. Is in the video as well, wilderness and the outdoors is also important to you, along with math.
I think so.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think so. I wish that more people in the world would be interested in a clean and peaceful planet. We've still got a long way to go, though.
Well, we're a little closer because of the work you have done, and that makes it all the more. I heard, and I don't know if this is true, and it said that you climbed the tower climb to raise funds for wilderness. Is that true?
That's right, yes.
How old were you when you stopped?
When I stopped?
Yeah.
I haven't stopped yet.
If there is a theme for the entire night, I haven't stopped yet. Before we present you with the award, I feel like we're, first of all, lucky and thrilled that you're here. Is there any thoughts or wisdom that you can give this audience from your chair?
Keep your mind and your body working.
There. I don't think we need to say any more than that. We are very lucky. He's our honorary first recipient. Would you please recognize Dr. Richard Guy? Thank you so much.
You'll notice inside. Congratulations. Let's just look at.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. I'll put this on your table.
Thank you.
I'll walk with you. Let's go out this way here. You want to take these? Sure. How's that for a start? So good. Our next award recipient is one that has been in the paper that we know about already. Marathon runner, motivator extraordinaire. He is going to sit in this chair and we're going to chat with him. But first, let's watch his video. Would you please recognize with me, Jerry Miller. I know, Jerry, I know that you couldn't see the screen, but trust me, you were wickedly good looking in the video, so you're good.
Wrinkles and all.
All parts of it. One of the things that I love about your story, and let me understand this, when did you start? How old were you when you started doing marathons?
Over 60.
Over 60. Then got good at it over 70. And now in the rankings, because this is all it is rankings, how are you ranked in the world in your age group?
Well, I'm blessed. I'm number one right now.
How about that? Now, this is the thing that struck me and we talked a bit about this before you came up, is that it's one thing when you're in advanced years to have little goals, and those are good, and to have little, but you said, why not just run a marathon, and why not be the best in the world at it? How important for you are goals to be big goals?
I think it's important for us to keep dreaming and keep visualizing, and then have quite a thrust with a passion in order to succeed. Because we can talk about things. We could talk about losing 5 pounds or 10 pounds at New Year's, but we have to do more than talk, and we have to do more than just walk. We have to have some thrust behind a passion, so we have to have a very mindful, forceful sort of drive that helps any of us to achieve the higher goals that we think might be an example for those who are younger, and hopefully help them to be not only better people, but to think more highly of themselves so they can pass those blessings on to others.
How about that? And just so that I understand your schedule, you just got back from Berlin, is that accurate?
Yes.
And how much of that trip did you have to pay for?
I paid for it all. I did have a VIP entrance to Berlin. That came up 2 or 3 months ago. But we do pay our way.
Yep.
We always pay our way. And we're very blessed when we get invited to, Berlin is the 3rd marathon in the world, but they don't allow the 44,000 runners or the 200,000 who want in to just get in. You have to have your name picked out of a barrel,
right?
Sort of, the computer. So it's a real privilege to be able to run that marathon. They aren't like Boston and New York, where there's spots for those of us who can have a fast enough run somewhere to qualify.
Sure.
And I'm very blessed. I've run 35 marathons, and every run has been a Boston qualifier. But some people some people work a lifetime and they don't get to Boston. But in the other 4 majors, and I'm attempting to do all 6 majors after 80, under a time of 5 hours on each marathon. But they don't have those spots for the fastest runners in the age groups like Boston and New York. So we have to get some kind of special dispensation or...
I know a reverend. I can hook you up if you want.
But anyway, it was a real blessing to do Berlin, 44,000 runners. And I was very, very shocked. After the finish line, they indicated I was approximately 2 kilometers ahead of second place and 5 kilometers ahead of third place. I don't know what happened to all those good European men. But I didn't tell them when my grandfather came over here from Germany in 1903 to Winnipeg, his name was Mueller. I didn't tell those German men about that. But what happens some of the year, you never know what the morning brings. And in Berlin, it was raining hard, and the humidity was 99%. And we just started out, and our shoes were like boots, like boats full of water. So a lot of them had trouble. I helped some hundreds maybe on that marathon because I was starting in the last wave of 14,000 runners, a mass start of 14,000. And they said I came in out of 44,000, 20,900. So I passed a lot of people. But they saw I was 80 over, and they saw I was from Canada. And they would pat me on the, and good-looking women, I'd pat them too. But some of them had breathing problems, and some of them had cramping problems. Now, I had to be careful, a little discipline. But, I did help them. And the nicest thing about finishing is that many women would, and others would, women for hugging, would come up and say, "Old man, we tried to keep up with you. We tried to follow you." So you get a lot of blessings back. When your glass is half full, and on any run, it's minus 30 here and we're running 20K on a Sunday morning, you're there to help your comrades and to help people who are less experienced, wherever it is. Because when you're blessed and when your glass is half full, it's really good to pass a few drops down to those others, and they feel more better about themselves. They become better people, and they can pass that blessing on to others throughout the world. If we could just think of more inclusiveness and try to pay it forward and pass on our blessings, I think we would have less isolation in the world. Some bad things happen when people feel they don't belong. So we need to consider our blessings and keep the inclusiveness in mind in all of our endeavors.
How about that? So, I just think all of us should think of Jerry Miller today, about him up on Sunday morning running 20 kilometers. I want you to think of that while you eat your desserts, okay? So, something to consider. We would like to welcome Steve Allen to the stage to present Jerry Miller with his award. Come on up, Jerry.
Well done, Jerry.
By the way,
Congratulations.
I'm only 4 weeks less a day. I've got to run New York.
Well, we're looking forward to that.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Alan. Thanks to everybody. Oh, I can go down there.
You all right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I can go down here. I'll just follow you.
This is the excitement. Already this show is out of control, which is kind of fun, isn't it? I'm telling you what, you get to run that many marathons, you can do whatever you want. Our next award recipient before we take a break is Marjorie Zingle. She is known by her colleagues as a business warrior. Let's bring her up and have a look at her video. This is our next recipient, Marjorie Zingle. Welcome to the stage, Marjorie.
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled you're here, and I have to say this. So my mom and dad, I don't want to say if they're younger, older than you, but they are older than you. They just figured out texting, like about 2 weeks ago. So I went to Marjorie's website for Data Hive, and I just pulled this off the top. Data Hive Network provides fully redundant core switches, routers, and load balancers, border gateway protocol BGP4 for split-second failover and high availability, multiple 200 MPS backbone trunks for fast network performance and traffic spike tolerance. My dad just got texting figured out. You say that part of your business is your great team and you wanted to thank some people here. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, I do. And I asked especially to do that because, you know, to do the kind of initiative that I undertook, I needed many great people behind me. And I have a great team of staff. I have suppliers. I have consultants. I have wonderful clients and advisors, interior designers. And so the two tables are taken with these wonderful people, and I think we should give them a clap for getting me here.
Let's hear it for them. Now, I've been lucky to interview a lot of successful entrepreneurs. Some of them are successful for 10 years. Some of them are successful for 20 years. You've been successful for a lifetime. What is the secret to becoming a great entrepreneur, do you think?
I have a theory, and that is that you're born an entrepreneur. I think it's pretty hard to teach someone to be an entrepreneur if they don't have that inquisitiveness, that inner drive that makes them want to do things. And I can tell many stories of all the wild and crazy ideas I've had, and they haven't all been successful either. But the secret to the success, or the secret to
being an entrepreneur, or just to your success, whatever.
The secret to success is to have a very good chartered accountant working for you. As I have
Now, so when I was, and I have to tell everybody, essentially, whenever I get to sit on stage with people, I'm a thief. I want to get whatever insight they have and take it home. Now, I have a 4-year-old daughter. Her name is Tess, and she's an amazing young 4-year-old. I want her to grow up to be you. What should I think about parenting-wise that'll help her have the kind of life you have had?
Well, because she's 4 years old, I think that's an absolute marvelous opportunity, and how I would wish I was a 4-year-old girl right now, because the advantages are so unbelievable. There's so many glass ceilings that she does not have to tackle. Mm-hmm. Please encourage her inquisitiveness, encourage her to fix things, encourage her to go out and find out how everything works, and encourage her to ask everybody how they do things, and let her take those ideas and develop them. That's all I can say. That's how to do it.
And you bring up a great point. For Tess, there are some ceilings that have been shattered that people like you shattered before she ever had to worry about it. So there are people in this room who feel like they're limited by their gender or by their age. What did you do to say, I am not going to be stopped by those sorts of things?
That's a good one.
I knew I'd get one in there, yes.
Basically, don't take no for an answer. That's what I would say. And if you have something that is in your heart and you want to make it happen, you just don't take no for an answer. And if there's a roadblock there, you find another way. And that's the road to success as far as I'm concerned.
Well, she's a great entrepreneur and a hero to all of us. Can we hear it for Marjorie Zingle? Bonnie DuPont, come on out here. This is for you. And we can easily bring that to your table. Don't feel like this is an obstacle course that you got to work your way through. You want to come down this way or that, whichever way you want. Fair enough. How about that? This is great. Seriously. Who thought this night would be this full of insight already? And we're just getting started. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break, allow us to clear some salad plates, bring out your dinner, and in just a bit, we'll come back and meet some more of our recipients. Have a great dinner, everyone. We'll see you in a bit. Hi, everybody. If you could grab your seats, we're going to get started and meet some more recipients. A few people came up to me during the break and said, Dave, could you do a bit of digging? How old actually are these people? Like, can you find out their exact ages? So let me spill the dirt. Can I do that for you? I went around and did some digging. Jerry Miller, the runner we met, 80 years old. Marjorie Zingle, our businesswoman, 81. And now I'm going to give you previews. In a minute, we're going to meet Dr. Amin Ghali. He is 89. After I speak with him, I'm going to talk to Don Seaman. He is 92. Vera Goodman. Hi, Vera. 83. I feel like I'm calling bingo numbers or something right now. Which is a dangerous thing to do in a room of seniors. However, Al Muirhead, who we heard play for us earlier. Al, you're the Bonanza winner. Al is 81. Just as a bit of a tease, Al, how long ago did your album come out? 3 years ago, 78 years old, he released an album that was nominated for awards. So we're going to talk to him about that. I don't know if any of you remember, I used to do breakfast television, and the guy that was on the show often with me was Jeb Fink. And Jeb now and then would do events where he would say to people, okay, who's been married and he'd say, who's been married for? And someone would say, I've been married, 52 years. And everyone would clap. And then Jeb would say, how many different wives have you had? Alan Ferguson is going to be joining us as well. Alan is 83 years old. Those are the ages of the folks. How about that? Now, I'm going to bring up our mayor, and I have to tell you why it's important. Jim Gray came up to me earlier. He said, now look, the mayor is here tonight because when I went into his office and gave him the idea of doing this, he said, we're in, and the city is behind you, and we want to help. So it's not just him, the mayor, which is great, but also the entire city of Calgary is behind this event and throwing their support at us. So would you please welcome our mayor, Naheed Nenshi, along with some words from the city. Come on up here, Mayor.
Oh, here you are. Well, how great is this? What Dave doesn't tell you is that when Jim came into my office and said, could you help with this idea I've got? I said, yeah, sure. The city's in. It's a great idea. I love honoring our seniors. I love the fact that it is for achievements now, not a lifetime achievement award. So yeah, let's do it. And what I didn't realize is that 97 days later, I would be standing on this stage. After 7 years in this job, I've started to think in government time. And so the 97 days is pretty unbelievable for me. And of course, Jim said, look, you got to move fast. when you're our age. So, I am thrilled to be here with you tonight. And I just walked in, so I missed a little bit of what happened at the beginning. So if I'm repeating, I'll repeat. That's what I do. But I want to thank you all for coming here today and supporting this incredible initiative. What we're doing today is we're building community. And that's what we do in this community every single day. And we gather today on land where people have been building community for thousands of years. And I love reminding people that as we celebrate the 150th anniversary of this nation, one of the great things about being Canadian is there is no conflict between celebrating the 150th anniversary of the nation, the sesquicentennial. You can tick that off your bingo list. I say it in every single speech because I love saying that word. The sesquicentennial, we are also celebrating thousands and thousands of years of Indigenous history on this land. And so as we gather today in this spot, in this place that the Blackfoot call Mokinstis, the elbow, the place where two rivers meet, we're reminded that people have been coming to this place for all those millennia, drawn by the land and the water, to hunt and fish and trade, to live, to love, to fight sometimes, to have great victories, to taste bitter disappointments, but above all, to engage in that very human act of building community. And so tonight, of course, we honor the original inhabitants of this land, the Nitsitapi. It just means the people. We call them the Blackfoot people now. We honor the Beaver people, the Tsuut'ina people, the Stoney people of the Nakota nations, the Métis people with their long history on this land. And we remember that for the last 150 years or so, we've been welcoming people from every corner of this broken earth, coming here to this place of safety, of sanctuary, of security, of welcome, and above all, of opportunity. And so what we are honoring today are these 7, plus I understand there's a special award, so 7 plus 1, 8 amazing community builders who build community every single day. But let me say one other thank you to the person who I think of as an inspiration, as a mentor, as someone who I don't want to be when I'm that age. I want to be that now, who builds community every single day. And know when I want to be that now, if it requires getting up at 5 in the morning and going swimming, I'm not sure I've got it in me. Folks, let's hear it for Jim Gray. I love that guy so much, I can't help it. So thank you, Jim. Thank you for everything you do every single day to build community every single day. When he first told me about this, I went, Jim, are you creating an award to give to yourself? And one of the first things he said was, I am not eligible, in the way that Jim Gray says that. But words cannot express what you have meant for this community for so very long. We would not be Calgary were it not for Jim Gray. Normally, I spend a lot of time thanking everyone who organized it, but I just had to say that as well. But let's hear it for the rest of the people who've worked so hard over the 100 days to bring us here, for the board, the committees, the nominators, everybody. And let's hear it for, you see, I actually need my script because I don't want to mess up the names. Let's hear it for our winners tonight. For Jerry, for Vera, for Don, for Alan, for Marjorie, for Amin, and for Al. These bios are unbelievable, and the work that they're doing is so important right now. And you know what? It's caused me to rethink something. If there's any politician in the world who tells you that the number one thing they think about when they think about their community is not how we deal with an aging population, how we work with our elders in the community, then they're not paying enough attention to what's actually going on around them. And I often talk about the place that we have created here. This unique place that we've created, especially now in a world that is so harsh, in a world that has changed, in a world where voices of anger and bitterness are growing louder and louder and louder, where forces of intolerance and hatred are growing stronger and stronger and stronger, where it feels like the forces that want to tear us apart are prevailing over those that want to bring us together. And I ask myself every single day, what do we do about that? What is the cure? What is the antidote? How do we preserve the strength of this place? That very simple promise that it doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from or how you worship or whom you love, that you belong here, that you are welcome here, that here you have the chance to live a great Canadian life. And when I was reflecting on what we were doing tonight, I had a bit of a revelation. And I realized that this right here, this is the cure. This is the antidote. This is celebrating the best of our community today. This is celebrating people who build our community today. It's about breaking bread and breathing the same air as your neighbors, but it's also about understanding and honoring what makes this place great. So I've said that line about where you come from or whom you love many, 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 many times. I feel like I should add, or how old you are. Because really, what we see here is inspirational, not just for the incredible achievements of the 7+1 people we'll be honoring tonight, but really for how we understand that every single one of us has the power in our hands and our hearts and our voices to build community and to build that life of dignity for everyone. And that is why I'm so thrilled to be here with you all tonight. Congratulations to the winners. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mayor Nenshi. So we're going to do two more recipients right now. I'm going to bring up Dr. Amin Ghali first. Let me tell you a bit about him, and then we'll watch his video. He's a professor, an inventor, a scholar, and has no idea what the word retirement means. Let's have a look at his video while he makes his way to the stage. Dr. Amin Ghali, thank you so much for joining us here. When I learned about your life, you lived in Egypt, moved to Toronto, and came here. There are people in this city who started in Calgary and stayed in Calgary. There are Canadians who moved to Calgary, but you came from around the world to Calgary. Why?
He's starting now with an easy question. But first he put me after we had a good meal and we had good wine to eat. So you're making it difficult for me to answer. But this one is easy.
Good.
I really did not select Calgary. As immigrant, I selected Canada because it's the best country. Then I was fortunate, I was blessed that the University of Calgary selected me to become as a professor. So I came to Calgary and lived here 52 years now. It is the best place to live in, no doubt.
How about that?
The people of Calgary are very friendly. The first day I came to Calgary was for an interview. And a policeman stopped me because I didn't stop properly at a traffic light. But he didn't give me a ticket as a welcoming gesture.
Oh, well, we're so glad you stayed. We talked a little bit at your table, but also I mentioned that retirement doesn't mean much to you. Freedom 55 doesn't mean much to you. What does?
I hear this slogan, but I really don't appreciate it. The only thing I'm doing is just what I like. So it is, I never felt that my duties at the university are limiting my freedom in any way. So that's why I cannot appreciate this. So I am fortunate that what I like most is teaching, writing, consulting, engineering. So that is what I love, and I do it. So that's all. So there's nothing secret about it.
there are a lot of professors who are just professors, but you did more than that. You were an inventor. You worked on different technologies. You worked hard to continue. So in a way, you are not just a professor in academia, but you are an entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit about that and some of the people that are here tonight.
I think I am fortunate because I associated with people who are successful entrepreneurs. People in Germany that I learned, that I met, and also I met people in Canada. They joined together to spread our invention, it's not my invention, to many places in the world, so it's internationally used. Now about other people who helped me. It is not my achievement alone. First, in every invention, that every patent that I have a co-inventor with me. That is Professor Walter Dilger. He's with us here. And then...
So good.
And then every paper I wrote after age 70, it was inspired by my former students, Dr. Ramiz Gaid. He's also sitting here.
So I think we should, can you both just give us a wave so that we see? I love that they are your former student, just so we get this. How old is your former student?
Oh, you better ask him. How old are you, Ramiz?
43. So you're still motivating the young kids out there.
No, he is motivating me. And then Walter Dilger, he is 6 years younger than me, so he would be 81 now.
Yeah.
And he's co-inventor. Everything I did, he was there.
He doesn't look that much younger than you, I have to be honest. You both look...
Let him stand up.
Can you stand up? We should thank him there. Let's stand up, would you both, so that we can see. So these are... Now, what advice do you have for other people that might be interested in living the life that you have lived?
Okay. I would say advice is teamwork, collaborate, and acknowledge those who you collaborate with. Be fair. So, if I would say, I will use this, any advice, I will say, I use this slogan. Together, we are stronger.
How about that? We are lucky. Can we congratulate Dr. Amin Ghali? Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Let's bring, you wait right here. Brian Fileski's got a gift for you. There you go. We'll get a picture of you too. That young pup, Brian Fileski, right there. Good. Let's hear it again. Dr. Amin Ghali.
Thank you, Brian.
And let's hear it for Dave Kelly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghali. Stronger together. Just like that. It's so simple and so good. Now, our next award recipient is a man whose name has long been synonymous with business and philanthropy, and these days it's been synonymous with baseball. Let's take a look at a little video about Don Seaman. That is Don Seaman. Welcome to the stage. Good of you to be here.
Thank you.
The Okotoks Dogs and, of course, Seaman Stadium, a big focus for you in these years. Tell us a bit about why baseball.
No, if I can spend at least 5 minutes on that, if you really like. Basically, this is some 20 years ago. My son-in-law, John Ircandia, came to me and had a problem. He had 2 sons. He wanted to be able to excel in baseball. So he, along with some other fathers, basically started to the dogs. And with the dogs, they basically played in tournaments.
Yep.
This was across the United States, BC, and they won. Basically, I helped a little bit along the way. I provided a professional coach and a little bit maybe on some traveling. But anyway, they were successful. And when that was over, those kids all got scholarships at university. And to me, that was success. So I told John, we have to do this again. So John took those students that went to school and brought them back and formed the dogs that competed in the Western Baseball League that mostly was at that time in Saskatchewan, but they competed at Foothill Stadium, and there was a change in ownership of who was there, and they had to find a new ownership. So they canvassed the city of Calgary, the University of Calgary, the city, and the Mount Royal. No one would take them, and I was going to fund it. So that was the idea. I was going to fund this team for a stadium. So they went out elsewhere, and they went to Okotoks. And Okotoks welcomed us. And that was one of the most fruitful things that ever happened, because that city is utterly fantastic. They basically support the team. They basically gave room and board for the players.
Yeah.
And so the citizens went to the games, and it ended up, this last year we almost got 5,000 people there in a 2,000 person stadium.
Isn't that how about that story? Which just goes to show you, if you're not careful with ideas in Calgary to keep them here, they go south.
Yeah, that's right.
All the way to Okotoks. Tell me a bit about, and I want to make sure I have this right, United Active Living is something that's very important to you, and as people age, health issues become part of it. This is something you're very passionate about. Tell us about it.
That is right. Basically, United Assisted Living had a very different policy. Basically, the people are invited into the establishment, and they basically are there for life as long as they can get adequate support, can pay for the adequate support. They're there. Basically, you've left a home and you go to a new place to live, and it's not right that if you cannot basically sit at a table and whatnot and enjoy the meal, you're invited to leave, but not at United Assisted Living. That's your home. And so it has been very successful, and the person that has been the president of that over the years, she understands the need for people that are aging.
Especially to feel home. That's a big
right.
piece of what you believe in.
And they provide all the services that you really need. Basically, if you're an artist, you can enjoy art. If you like music, they supply music. And they have the people in the audience, or in that establishment, basically have a committee, and they can give suggestions, and it's listened to. And I can tell you, the meal is excellent. The meals are excellent.
If Jim Gray goes, will you put a pool in for him? I think he needs one of those.
Yes, we'll have a place for Jim.
Good. That's very good. I feel like every one of the folks who are up here tonight, Don, are great at being inspiring for so many reasons. And all of them do this, but you do it especially, I feel, is you give people dignity and you give people home. And that's very important that they do, no matter what their age is, that they feel that. And as a city and as two cities, let's bring Okotoks into this. We're lucky, and we're lucky you're here. Can we hear it again for Dawn Seaman?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Your newer swimmer is going to come and present you.
Thank you.
Whoop,
Okay.
it's yours.
I think we should have the two of them wrestle. What do you guys think? Let's hear it again for Dawn Seaman, everyone. So we have three more incredible people I want you to meet. This is how we're going to work. We're just going to give it a sec for them to bring out dessert, just so Jerry Miller can look down his nose at all of us. And then we're all going to run a marathon, and I'll be up here shortly. So enjoy your desserts, all of you. We'll be back in just a minute to meet our final three recipients. Have a great dessert. I feel like we should do this while they are still in the room. All the wait staff and the folks that prepared our meal and did all the work for tonight, can we give them a big thank you? Are they great? They are good people. Jim Gray asked, because I was thinking when Jim spoke earlier and he read his remarks, one of the small phrases in there is, things will change, or that's about to change. And I thought to myself, how many times in boardrooms in the past 40 years have a bunch of other nervous people heard Jim Gray said, that's about to change? And it's because of him that we're here, but he also said all of those booklets, all the programs that you see, if there's two of you, there's more people in here than there are programs, and there's still a use for them past this. So if there's two of you and you want to bring both home, then please do. But if you don't, if you could leave the ones you're not using on the table, they'll have somebody come and pick them up at the end of the night, and they're going to be used further from tonight. So if you want to bring them home, take them home, please. They're for you. But if you aren't, or if your partner already has one, then leave one here so that we can use them for other reasons. I'm gonna introduce Vera now, and every group or every person I've interviewed on stage, there's been a son, an uncle, a friend, a daughter, a grandchild who came up to me at the breaks and said, I'm so excited that you're doing this for my dad. I'm so excited you're doing this for my mom. And so for all the kids and the kids who are only 70, can we say to them, your mom and your dad have done good. Let's hear it for them. I know that Vera's daughter is here tonight, and she would like to take as much credit for anything that goes Vera's way, right? That seems accurate. And her niece also feel that if it wasn't for Diane Goodman, Vera would not be where she is today. I am just saying what I was given $20 to say, folks, so. Before we bring her up, she's a great leader and a driven and passionate person. Let's learn a bit about Vera Goodman. This is Vera Goodman. Vera, your passion, your life is reading. So just homework for everyone here. What are 3 books all of us should be reading and why?
The Little Prince, Winnie the Pooh, and Alice in Wonderland are my favorite books.
And why are they great books in your opinion?
They're great books because they use a larger story to tell smaller stories that all teach lessons, but they show, not tell, so that everyone who reads them can apply them to their own lives and to their own situations. And that's the way master teachers have always taught.
We are lucky to have a master teacher like you in our presence. I'm going to ask you a bit about the work you're doing now, but first, tell me what you think is the secret to great aging.
Well, all of us, we write a novel. Our lives are a novel waiting to happen or being written as we live. And we write those stories through circumstances and choices. And some seniors choose to withdraw and become lonely and isolated and bored. while others go out and they make use of all the wonderful facilities we have in our community. And they make new friends. And they use their wisdom and knowledge to help other people in their journey of life. So I think as seniors, we're writing our last chapter, and how that story will end depends on our choices.
It's such a wisdom is only gotten by time, and I know that. And we talked about Jim Gray and the rest of the committee talked about the award tonight is not just for stuff you did long ago, but what you're working on right now. What are you working on right now?
Well, before I say that, I want to say one more thing about my story.
Sure.
Because I think I'm a lot like Pooh. We share the same favorite thing to do. My favorite thing is to have a cup of tea and a little something with my friends. And I want to tell you what my favorite quote is.
Do.
And it's from The Little Prince. And it sums up all those books because it says, now I can't remember what it says. Oh, I can't. It says that what is essential is invisible to the eyes. And that's the secret.
How lucky.
Now I'll go on with the rest of it.
This is your night, Vera, and Diane, your niece, is going to come punch me if I don't let you go. So you do whatever you need. Welcome.
Well, I have two things I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah.
The first one is reading. I've designed 6 little exercises that I use to change people who don't read well into readers very quickly. And it's been really interesting because I've been working with a lot of teenage boys lately. And it is so rewarding. It's just pure bliss to see the excitement and the sparkle in their eyes when I give them the gift of reading. It's so neat.
Wow.
And I've put that on, I'm putting that online as a course. So I'm sharing those 6 little exercises with anybody who wants to help someone else learn to read.
If people want to find that, where can they find it?
Well, on my website. It's a work, we just about got it done.
Sure.
But you can Google me. I'm quite well known on Google.
Google is very familiar with the work you do. That's great.
But I got this.
There's more.
No, this is the important one.
Okay.
I worked on First Nations. They invited me in to work with reading. And when I was there, I found out that the model of education, which we foisted on them, which is a failure model based in teaching and testing, and they cannot succeed under that model. Mm-hmm. And I realized that. So I wrote a new model of education I call the story circle model.
How does that work?
Well, it told about it in the video. It's using story to teach academics and to do all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. But my problem was that I didn't have a venue to get it out into the world. I was searching for some way to take it out into the world. When I was invited to Guatemala in February to share story circles with the Mayan teachers down there, and they have so little in way of resources. And so with the gal who nominated me, Shelley Goldbeck, as my assistant, we were there for 20 days, and I spoke to somewhere around 150 teachers in 3 different parts of Guatemala. And they could understand the simplicity of the story circle approach to teaching, and they loved it. So when I came back here, one of my readers, Berna Perkin, who's been reading my newsletter for years, she contacted me and said, Vera, what you need to do is to be training talented young Canadians to go out as part of our foreign aid to other countries to spread story circles. I thought she was kind of a crazy idea. But as I thought about it, I thought, no, that's my venue. That's my way of taking it into the world, because my vision's always been for the whole world. And so what my vision now, how I want to get started with this, is to find about 6 talented young Aboriginal people and train them to go into First Nations communities to help them to approach stories from a different way. They already use story circles, but mine is a much more way to bring activity to their young people. Many of them are really bored because there's not a lot to do. And with my story circles, they're creating all sorts of stuff. They're creating videos and radio programs and dances and poetry and rap and all sorts of things, and art and music that will keep them involved, but will also help them to have skills and develop self-confidence, which is what they have to have if they're going to go out in the world. So I'm really excited about that, and that's my new calling, and I'm so happy that I've been allowed to have this honor because I have this wide audience of people that I can share my vision with.
This is our story circle.
And you're all warm, talented people who will help me to take story circles into the world, right?
Yes! Is she right? And if you want to know more, just ask Google about Vera Goodman.
You can phone me, and I like sharing tea with a friend in my house, so you can even come and we'll share energy over a cup of tea. You could come, Dave.
Are you hitting on me right now?
Yeah. I am.
This is the best night ever. We are so lucky, and I know from your family how they speak with great passion about the passion that you have. And you did not say, in the words of Dylan Thomas, you are not going gentle into that good night.
No,
you are saying there are stories to teach, there are things to do, and there are great people to help. And
I don't want to ever retire.
Good.
I just want to keep, because I'm just like, who was it that said, they're doing it because they love it.
Yeah.
I have trouble with names. Do any of you have that problem in all this?
Let's see, we better present you with a great award. Can we hear it for Vera Goodman? So good, Vera. So good. Thank you. Steve Allen would like to present you with this. Isn't this awesome? Let's hear it again. Vera Goodman. All right, Alan, are we ready for this one? He said no, so that means yes. I want to bring up Alan Ferguson now, a man of incredible steel and determination who has said, it doesn't matter my age, I am going to make a difference. Have a look at the video while he makes his way to the stage. That is Alan Ferguson. Now, Alan, we've learned tonight that you're never too old to learn. You're never too old to grow. You're never too old to be a mentor. And you're never too old to start a business, which is your story. Tell us about that.
Well, I guess my story started when I responded to an appeal on the radio for palliative care volunteers, people to look after somebody who was under palliative care while the main caregiver went away. And I was allocated to somebody who had prostate cancer. And we got on very well. And in due course, he passed away. And then 2 or 3 years later, I found myself under the same diagnosis. And I recall him saying on numerous occasions he wished that he had explored options and alternatives. So that's what I started to do, is to explore options and alternatives and read and, try and find direction. And interestingly enough, I came across something that was actually used in South Africa, and I have lived in Central Africa for a while, and there was something there. And I found also that it was used in Germany, as a drug, actually. And perhaps I should step back and say at one point I did have a flash of inspiration. You know, inspiration, that blinding flash of the obvious. Yeah. Anyway, I had this blinding flash of the obvious. We're given and born with a very efficient and an amazing immune system. And maybe we should focus on that and try and make sure that that was working as well as possible. So it's really been a journey on refining this. This company, we broke all the rules. It never started with a business plan. It started with an objective to find the best way of tuning your immune system. And during the process of this, which has taken a number of years, it doesn't happen overnight. We've been given 3 patents, which we didn't find out until afterwards that you're not supposed to be able to patent natural subjects, but we didn't know at the time when we patented them. And we were told we would never get a Health Canada license. We have one with 8 claims on it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, well, it brings to mind something that our daughter said to me some time ago, and she said, you know, Dad, if you know the phrase, if you don't succeed, try and again. Yeah. Well, she said to me, well, Dad, you know, if you do succeed at first, try not to look too surprised.
It's so good. Yeah. And here you are.
And here we are.
Tell it. So the supplement now is where? Where it's.
Well, let me tell you something else that's quite critical here, and what really motivates me and drives me, is that I grew up in wartime England in a city called Plymouth that was pretty heavily bombed, and so I know what it's like to be afraid that something might happen to your parent. And I can relate with the problem of children, of mothers or fathers for that matter, who have been diagnosed with a serious disease. And they can't ask the question. But I hope through what I do, at least they'll have their parent longer. And if I can do something that contributes to the parent going into remission, then I've done something that is eternal.
A big piece for you is making a difference. How motivating is that for you? I'm sorry.
Well, just to give you an example of some of the things that I know that have happened, there's a young lady on the island who had weeping eczema from her knees to her navel, and we managed to get rid of that in about 3 weeks. There's another lady, well, my wife had shingles, and we managed to get rid of that in just under a week with no residual pain. You know, these are quite substantial differences.
How does that feel for you, knowing you're able to do that?
I feel privileged to have been a party to that, to have made a difference, to know that when the time comes for me to move on, I will be able to look back and say, yes, this life is a gift, and I've done the best to use it well.
You all can't do this because it would all take too long, but to just go to the tables of where these people are sitting is the most inspiring thing, not just for the stories, but if you go to Alan's table, they are all so proud and so grateful for the work that you have done, and the rest of the room joins them in that pride that they feel.
I feel very privileged. I really do. I can't believe this is happening. As I said when I was nominated about this, I feel like this is a dream, and at some point the alarm clock's going to go off.
Well, if it goes off, we're all going to be in the same room with you, so it's going to be good.
It's going to be rather crowded in the bed.
If I had a dime. Tell me a bit about, one of the folks said, ask him, he's a physicist, if he could time travel, where would he want to go? Do you have any thoughts on that one, if you could time travel?
Yes, I assume I get a return ticket here, do I?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I'm not sure I would go forward because of the development of artificial intelligence. I have big enough problems with my computer. What it would be like if I had to deal with some equipment that was developed in 10,000 years' time, I really don't know.
Right.
So I think perhaps I would play it for safe and go back to the Garden of Eden. How about that? And see what medicinal plants that they had there.
Just say, don't touch the apple. That's it. Try anything else, leave the apple.
Actually, I think there's going to be a slight problem. You wouldn't have a fig leaf by any chance.
Tell you what, we'll set that up. We'll get a fitting. Alan Ferguson, not just to his table and his family, but to all of us, is an inspiration. Can we hear it for Alan?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So good. Bonnie would like to present you. We'll take a picture of the two of you.
Bonnie.
Do you want to both go? Good.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks a lot.
Perfect. You'll be the bodyguard, Bonnie. That'll work out well for everybody. We, for the guy who always has to go in the kitchen when he enters, this time he got to come through the front door. He got to play with his band over here. 3 years ago, he released an album. And of course, the first question will be what took him so long, but I'll get to that. But before we bring Alan Muirhead to the stage, let's have a look at a little bit of his story. Alan Muirhead. Welcome, Al. Great of you to be here.
Thanks, Steve.
Tell me a bit about what took you so long.
To do what?
This album came out. Yeah, tell us a bit about it.
Well, it was never a dream of mine to be a star or anything. I was just a musician. And it just happens that jazz is my favorite style of music. But I played in symphonies, I played the circus, I played on Ian Tyson's country album. Like, it doesn't matter. You are a musician for hire and you go out and work. And that's what I love to do. The other thing is, when I was quite young, I would say about 18, I saw a great many of my idols in Vancouver, as a matter of fact. And to seeing how they lived, what they were doing with the drugs and the alcohol and everything. And I decided at that point, no thanks. If this is the life, I don't want that. I want a normal life and get married and have a family, of which I have a great family. I have 7 children. I have 15 grandchildren, and I'm very proud of every one of them, and they're all doing so good, and I'm just a very lucky guy. But that was the kind of life I wanted to live, and music was a very big part of my life. I've played every day since I can remember, and I get an awful lot of satisfaction from that. And I've had a lot of really wonderful experiences because of it. Traveled all over the world pretty much playing and meeting such wonderful people. I think my favorite type of people to hang with are musicians, because most of them are half crazy. But speaking of that, I'd like to make mention tonight of the 3 musicians that I worked with. Just a few days ago, we were asked to put this together. And so I got my good friend Igor Yukolov on piano, and John May on drums, and John Gray on bass to come and join me. So there was no rehearsal, there was no talk. We just had a tough time getting a sound check in, and I just called tunes and keys, and away we go. And that's kind of what jazz musicians do. And we didn't have that luxury of having a rehearsal before we played. But that doesn't end there. It's all the years of preparation to get to that point.
Exactly.
I played a gig not too long ago. It wasn't a very long one, and I think my fee was $300 or something. And the lady said, "My goodness, that's an awful lot of money for 1 hour of work." And I said, no, it wasn't an hour. It was 65 years of preparation.
You break that down.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of folks get into show business, and when they do, they only hear the one word. They hear show. They don't hear the word business. And a lot of the folks that we sitting in your chair here tonight learned business, as you did too. So what are some of the things you learned about the business side of life and show business in your world?
Well, Tommy Banks, my good friend Tommy, who was a senator and a wonderful jazz piano player from Edmonton, said the music, that word is that long, and the business, the word is that long. So we better learn how to do business if we're going to survive in this. Musicians learn to and wear a lot of different hats. They may teach, they may do clinics, they may be writing, they may be conducting. They are doing all sorts of things in order to eke out a living in this crazy business, because it's a tough one.
Right.
And it just seems that as time has gone on, there are less places for musicians to work because everything is so computerized, and they're using tracks to sing with, or they'll come and do a Broadway show, but they'll only have maybe 6 or 7 players in the pit, where at one time they would have 25 or 30.
Right.
So the business has diminished for musicians, so they have to do a lot of other different things in order to survive. It's not a big money-making business for most of us, let me tell you.
Well, I know that Jim Gray has decided to give you $10 million just for playing over there today, so hopefully that's cool.
I wish, yeah.
Tell me, though, I just think music is one of those things that connects people and preserves people and keeps them sharp and in. Of all the musical choices you had, why the trumpet?
Well, I think it was my brother that really got me going on brass instruments at a very young age, maybe 7, 8 in there. And I eventually took up the tuba first, and I was playing in the Regina Symphony at 12 on the tuba. And at about 14, I decided I was going to play the trumpet, so I've been playing the trumpet ever since. And why jazz is my favorite, at that time in my life, living in Regina, Saskatchewan, we were getting all the radio stations from Chicago or New York or all over, and jazz was very popular at that time. So I was able to listen to all the greats, and I just fell in love with what Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis and people like that, what they were doing, and it just became my mission that I wanted to play like that. By the same token, I think it's important that we be ourselves. I can't be Louis Armstrong. I can't be Harry James. I am me, and this is what I can do, and this is how I play, and I hope you enjoy it type of attitude.
Don't you feel that, this is more for us, that everybody who's sat in this chair tonight has kind of said the same thing? This is who I am, this is what I do, and I love doing it. Don't you feel like that's what Alan, is that your sense?
Absolutely, yeah. And why I'm here, my goodness, like with such esteemed people, it was, I'm just absolutely thrilled to be in the same room and not alone be nominated for this wonderful award, which is great. It's one of the highlights of my life for sure.
Isn't that great? How about that? I'm going to bring, you don't have to move yet, but for all of our winners tonight, I'm going to bring you up in just a sec. But before we do, I'm not even going to let us present to you yet. I just want you to relax. There's no rush. Just sit for a sec, Brian. You got time. Because hearing you, hearing Vera, and hearing all the other people talk, I was talking to Ruth Ramsden Wood earlier, and she said, are you going to tell a story of your kids? And I don't know that I'm going to tell a story of my kids, but I want to tell a story that is for you and for the other folks here. Vera's daughter, Diane, works at Alberta Theatre Projects, one of the great theaters in our city. And I live in Calgary because of Diane, because she offered me a job to come and be Hank Williams in a show that they did in 1997. And I moved down here, or I came down for the summer and stayed. And then years later, not that many years ago, they asked if I would do Seussical the Musical. So I got to be the Cat in the Hat. And so, and it was one of those amazing shows where I got to, like jazz, I got to improvise. So I went on stage, and every show I would auction off Horton. And it was a show that was all the Dr. Seuss characters. So I was up there as the Cat in the Hat, and I would get up and I would auction. And this was, you could tell, a bunch of kids in the audience. They were told, when you're at the theater, you listen and you don't make noise. And then I'd get up and say, all right, who wants to buy Horton? And all the kids would sit there, and then a few of them would go, $5? And I'd get to do this auction. And so like you know what it's like when you're performing. You notice not all the people who are into you, you notice the two people that aren't. And that's exactly one show I did that, and there was this little girl that came out and sat right on the edge of the stage, and she was clearly in her Sunday best. And she was so young that she had her legs like this. You know how they are when they sit because the chair's too big for them. And I said, all right, who would like to buy Horton? And this kid was staring at me, and not a smile, nothing. And some kid said, $5. And I said, great, can I get $15? And of course, when you're little kids, they don't know, so they'll say, $10 billion right out of the gate. They have no clue about how to do an auction. And this kid wouldn't smile, wouldn't bid, wouldn't anything. So of course, I'm focusing on her. And at a certain point, I say, okay, you little girl, what would you pay for Horton? That was it. And I said, okay, what would you pay? And she said, I have a book of you. And I was like, what? And this little girl looks at me and goes, I have a book of you. And I realized in that minute, I was the Cat in the Hat. And her whole life, all 4 years of it, she had been reading Cat in the Hat books. And then her mom and dad said, we're going to a play, and brought her into this theater. And out walks the Cat in the Hat. And her mind exploded. And all she could think of is that, I have a book of you. And Vera said earlier that we're all writing stories. We're all writing our books. And tonight we got to hear the book of you. And we got to hear the book of Vera. And we got to hear the book of everyone who came up here. And for me, I'm going to go home to my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old, and I'm going to say, we got to run more. We got to do story circles. We got to learn the trumpet. We got to invent something. We got to get into physics so that we can cure things. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm going to start a business with so many megabytes per second. I'm not even sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to do that. All of these things are stories. And tonight we got to hear your story. And we got to hear all of these stories, these people who have written incredible, incredible books of them. So you can sit, and I'm going to ask those that can, if you could come back up on stage so that we could recognize you one more time. So if you make your way up, those that can do it, while I tell everyone here, Top 7, this is something they just wanted to be sure we know. Along with its many like-minded partners, Top 7 Over Sunny is planning to host a series of workshops and roundtables related to senior entrepreneurship in the near future. More information is on page 3 of your books. More seniors in entrepreneurship with their resources, experience, and connections can provide an exciting opportunity to create jobs, revitalize Calgary. The Canada West Foundation study said that if we just double the engagement of seniors in startups, it could lead to 10,000 new direct jobs in Canada. So these are the people whose books, whose stories we are lucky to hear. Would you please welcome back to the stage our recipients. Alan Muirhead is with us here. Dawn Seaman. Alan Ferguson, Jerry Miller, Vera Goodman, Dr. Amin Ghali, Marjorie Zingle. These are your top 7 over 70 recipients tonight. And we're going to bring up Dr. Guy. He is 101 years old, so you better keep clapping until he makes it up the ramp. That we could all be this lucky, that we could all learn from them. Isn't this wonderful? This is your night as well, everybody. Can we thank again the committee that put tonight together, all the folks that worked so hard. We are all going out to a nightclub tonight. So the first 3 shooters are free, so we hope you can make it. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you very much. And what do you think? Should we do this more than just the 1 year? Let's hear it again for our committee, for the folks here. Have a great night, everybody. Let's hear it for our top 7 and 1 over 70.